Good morning, Frank. Thank you for joining in today's interview. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you very much, Dave. Good morning.
So
And how are
before
you
we
doing
proceed,
too?
I am also doing great. Thank you for asking. So before we proceed, can you give a brief introduction about yourself?
Yes, thank you very much for this opportunity for me to be able to come here and tell you about myself. Yeah, just like you know, my name is Frank Ogbe, and I'm a data analyst. I've been working as data analyst for a good number of years now, with a good experience across various domains. I have been a system analyst, business analyst for a while before I started doing data analyst. And my transition has helped me garner experience in terms of business intelligence, how to support business, how to design dashboard, provide intelligent insight to help the system grow in terms of their profit and sales reports, help the marketing team and sales team project their figures and make meaningful sense out of it. So my background, I did computer science in the university. I did a diploma in electronics engineering. You can see how my interest about data started. So this knowledge and tools I've used over the years have equipped me with data management and making sense out of it to help organizations. So today I'm looking forward to joining an organization with growth mindsets, with teamwork and spirit of excellence, because quality is one of my watchword, whatever I do. So that's why I'm looking for this opportunity.
That's great. So Frank, as you mentioned that you have got diversified experience under various domains. So can you talk about the previous project that you have worked as a Tableau developer? What were the KPIs of those projects? And how did you utilize Tableau to create the visualizations out of the data source?
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much for that questions. Yeah, it is true that I've worked in different domains. So right now, in response to your question, we share an experience with you when we're working on a project with a financial income. And some of the KPIs that I designed in Tableau was reporting daily sales. Every day on their dashboard, they want to see how much they have reported in sales on a daily basis. And so one other important KPI that they wanted to see was a comparison of the previous day. I mean, every time they open their dashboard, they want to see what they did 2 days before and the previous day and where they are currently. So that immediately form a target. Yesterday's sales was over 700,000. So, and in the morning they have just recorded 10,000. So it's a long way for them to go. So this particular KPI was a very important KPI for the organization, and it was well appreciated. So ideally, the first thing I do because we work as a team is understand requirement from the stakeholders. What do they need? All right, they present, we usually have a session, discuss, brainstorm about their requirement, discuss what exactly they want me present in the. So I go ahead and create different views as per requirements, using different graphs to represent the visualization. Then I put that in my dashboard to capture as much as as they require to take care of those requirements.
So how many Tableau developers had been there in your team when you had been working?
Yes, I do work with other developers as well as software development team, people with different kind of skills. Due to the fact that I've worked in agile environments, particularly Scrum. So I work as a member of the development. Sometime in the course of a project, I have actually done a Scrum Master role. This is because the Scrum Master is indisposed, and I was the next person that was identified with the skill to manage the project. And this was, sorry to this, just in response to your question, this was what necessitated my move to acquire a certificate in Scrum. So today, as I speak to you, I'm a professional certified Scrum Master with Scrum.org. So I understand I've worked as a Scrum Master, leading a team, facilitating events, from daily to sprint planning, sprint review, and retrospective. All of these experienced.
That's awesome. So coming to your knowledge base in Tableau, what were the version of Tableau when you started working with, and what is the recent version that you're working on now?
Yeah, currently I'm working with the current version. This is 2023 2023.4, 2022.4. That's the latest, right? Okay, 2022.4. That's the current version I'm using, because I usually follow the new release to make sure I'm maximizing the features of Tableau.
So what do you think are the most important features that you use on a daily basis, which have actually improved your productivity as compared to the older versions? Problem. So let's continue from where we left. So my question was, since you're working as a Tableau developer, what are the new features that you are using quite often, which has helped you to improve your productivity as compared to the older versions? Might be some of the features we're missing right now. Those features have reduced the time that you used to consume earlier to create any visualization or reporting. Do you have any examples?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. If this latest release, I particularly love the new expression added. That's the proper,
Right.
just like we have in Excel. So usually I do have data in data preparation. I do have sometimes when the data input comes as not properly italicized or capitalized. You have capital letter in the middle of a string, and the last name not starting with a capital letter. So sometimes I have to use other tools to take care of this. But with this new version, you just run proper, and that takes care of everything. This is so beautiful. I had been looking forward to Tableau doing this. And the moment I saw that this was part of the new features added, it became very useful for me and even my colleague. When I told them about it, everybody loved it, and they just send because they like me preparing the data, they just send everything to me, and I make sure the data preparation is done, and it's now coming out quickly, faster.
That's great.
I know, I am aware that there are other new features, but this is a particular one I have made use of. The other ones has just been the same thing I've always been doing. And one thing I've noticed is that the ease of the visualization, when you drag and drop your measure or your dimension, it now return faster, and it's now kind of intuitive. Once you do certain action, it gives you the right charts, without you coming to change. It's almost doing exactly what you want it to do. So this is another thing I have noticed. Maybe it's an artificial intelligence implementation they have just done. But I know it wasn't stated, but this is a personal experience.
That's great. Let's talk about relationship, joins, and blend. Can you tell me what's the difference between relationships and joins, and when you will go for relationships and when should you go for joins?
Okay, thank you for that question. Yes, relationship and joint are quite similar. Just that joint relationship, you do not need to have a common feed to match the tables, but in joint you need a common field to match the table, and joint allows you to combine your data in a certain way, just like when we say left joint, you want to combine the values of your left table to the match value on your right table. But relationship doesn't allow you to do that. It does a general combination, all right? And relationship also allows you to join your data using a common subset. What is in table left and in table right. So you can make all these distinction with relationship. In joint, you don't have that option. It just combines the two tables right away.
So any pros and cons of joins over relationships?
The pros and cons of joints of a relationship. I believe relationship combine quite faster because it doesn't need to calculate the subsets matching feeds. It just combines right away and it comes out faster, it processes faster. But in joint, it has to do certain calculation, why check which is here and which is not there. And one good advantage of join is that it allows you to combine your data in certain way to address a particular request. If I just need a subset of the two tables, what is here and at the same time here, I don't want to display null value. So join allows me to do that. Relationship doesn't give me that option.
Okay. So can you give a use case of blend that you have used in any one of your projects?
Yeah, of course. Blends is what I use when I have to combine tables from different data source. The moment you have different data source, you don't even have the joint option. You're not able to do that because it's going to the two, they are coming from two different data sources. So in that case, I use blend to combine those tables. In blend combination, you don't have direct relationship. You just have the first table, the first feed you use from a particular table becomes your primary table, and the second one secondary, and the third one just like that. It goes in that direction. It doesn't have a relationship joint. You just represent this table physically, individually.
So there's a concept called as cross database join. So when should you go for, means if cross database join is existing, then why blending should be required?
Cross database joint. Well, can you reframe that question? I want to understand that properly.
Right. So as you mentioned that for multiple data sources, we generally go for blending, right? So it's a primary data source and a secondary data source. So similarly, when there are multiple data sources, there is something called as cross database join that we can connect. Means we can use joins, the concept of joins for multiple data sources. So if cross database join is existing, and then why should you go for blend? And if you're going for blend, then why not cross database join? Are you aware of it?
No, I haven't used cross
Mhm.
database joint. I haven't used that, or unless I'm missing something up. I know there's Union. Union allows me to also combine
Right.
data row wise to
Mhm.
increase the row values of the combination. I know I can also do pilot
Mhm.
pivoting. That
Pivot.
is transform data, turning column into rows or rows into columns. But
Okay.
cross.
So, right, no problem. So can we explain the order of operations in Tableau in regards to filter as well as LODs?
Yes. In Tableau, the order of operation starts with extract filter, then it goes to data source filter. Then the next one is extract data source context filter. Then it gets to fix LOD before dimension
Mhm.
filter. Then after dimension filter, we have the include and exclude LOD. And of course, set belongs to also the same level as fixed LOD set and the other ones. Then before we talk about include and exclude filter, then we got to measure filter before table calculation filter.
That's great. So can you come up with one limitation of LOD you might have noticed?
Limitation of LOD. I I don't know. I'm sure there is, but I haven't
Mhm.
I haven't thought about. I haven't been in a situation where LOD has not been able to address
No
my
problem.
concerns.
I think you can brainstorm later. I can give you a hint that the answer lies within the order of operation itself. LOD is basically coming after the context filter.
You're very right. So you're very right. I have in that you're very correct. There are situations where LOD actually gives you the figure you're looking for, gives you the calculation you're looking for. But for the sake of the filter that has been requested for, uh, this is the user requirements. It can't be anything else. So that in that case, LOD will not be applicable. You have to find another way, another
That's correct.
workaround to solve
That's
your
correct.
problem. You're very right. Thank you for that. I
No,
appreciate.
no problem. So coming to the dashboard layouts that you design. So as a
Right.
Tableau developer, when a prototype is shared with you, and as you mentioned that you had been working under the agile environment as well, can you talk about the three things that comes in your mind when a prototype is given to you and the client asks you to recreate this entire design in your Tableau? What all questions will you ask to the client?
That's an interesting question. So yeah, of course, when the first thing I do is to first analyze the prototype, look at the design structure, and I also want to know from the client uh, what the kind of device, the display, the audience, right? Where do they want it? What is the audience like? Are they going to be making a presentation out of it? Are they going to just view it? And the nature of the viewers, are they going to be mobile viewers and all of that? So I collect all this information. This will help me in my layout and whatever I need to add in the layout, device, and all of that. And also when I analyze the prototype, I confirm how much the containers that I need to use to arrive at that particular design. And considering all of that, I begin to build my views and design the dashboard accordingly.
So suppose clients are using their own brand guidelines. They have their own font, custom colors, which are actually not present in Tableau. How will you get that integrated in your dashboards?
Yes, it's possible. Tableau allows me to use custom colors. If the color is not in Tableau, I find other means of getting the color. I get it integrated by editing my preferences .tsp file. Yeah, I add that in my reference tag. And just once I do that, I go back to my Tableau, refresh or reload it to see the custom colors that I've just added, and I implement it. Same thing with shape. We can also add custom shape in Tableau.
So as you mentioned about custom shapes, have you ever created custom shapes? For example, have you ever created a hex map or a honeycomb chart?
I haven't in the real sense of it, but I have practicalized it because I'm someone who I'm always learning, always nonstop, consistently improving my skills. I know about it, I have practicalized it, but in terms of real life scenario, I haven't had to use it, but I show you, I know what it is. I know that there is a shape folder that I would need to first bring my custom shape in there. And that's when I'm using custom shape, right? To change the default
So
shape.
what is that file called? Are you aware of? What is the custom shape file is known as that you need to pull it into Tableau?
I can't
It's
recall
a
right now,
spatial
but
file. That is called a spatial file.
yes, spatial file. You're right.
Right. So coming on to the performance side of Tableau. So I think that is, as Tableau developers, that is the most important thing that comes into picture once the dashboard is created, that whether my performance is optimized. As Tableau developers, what are the top 3 things that you follow religiously to ensure that your dashboard is performing well?
Yeah, I ensure to use less container. I use as minimal container as possible. The more container you put in on your dashboard, the slower it is to load. So this is one that's in fact that's the biggest delimiter of container. So you want to use as little as possible. And also I want to limit my filter to table calculation. Before the data comes to the dashboard, I try as much as possible to have applied the filter before it comes to the dashboard. Otherwise, if I'm applying the filter on the dashboard, it affects the performance of the filter. Once I know that this is exactly what the client needs, I don't need to add extra information so that I don't bring in details that are not needed at all. And some of the things I also try to use is to try to make my argument, reduce my argument to Boolean, like changing it to yes or no. When I do my table calculation, I try to formulate it in a way that I'm using if statements so that it comes as Boolean, true or false. So that way it comes at the Tableau process these kinds of commands faster, expressions faster than Spring calculation.
That's right. So have you ever done performance recording?
No, I haven't. This is because
You never checked how long the query is getting generated at the back end?
Oh yes, I do. I test every performance of my dashboards, performance of the views. The two you mentioned is in Tableau server. This is essentially what goes on in my environment is that because we have other Tableau roles being managed by different people, we have a Tableau administrator, we have other Tableau developer, Tableau data analysts in the team. People do different roles. So I haven't been the one that does all of that. They can do that and come back to me and say, we need to optimize the performance of this query or the performance of this view. Could you please look at it and something like that? I haven't particularly performed that recording.
Right. So let's talk about the Tableau server side. Have you worked on the server side of Tableau?
No, I haven't. I've just done a few things. That's publishing to Tableau server and sharing the dashboard, sharing the views, and
So what checks do you do before you publish? Means what's the process like? Means when you're working in a project, so definitely once you develop the dashboard, you do not directly publish it to the production environment, right? So what all steps do you follow before the report is actually deployed onto the production server?
Okay, just so that I understand your question properly, you are asking me the other processes I follow before publishing my, take say, for example, my dashboard to the server, right?
To the production server, not the server, but definitely you need to publish your report to the server. But before giving it to the end user, what all checks do you perform?
Yeah, ideally I will.
So there are basically
the
two servers that comes into picture, right? A test server where all the tests and the QA things happen. And once the UAT is done, only then it is deployed onto the production server. Are you aware of this, or are
Yes.
your organizations following this practice?
Yes, we do. What we do is once the dashboard or the view is designed, we go ahead and confirm the performance and making sure that is answering exactly the question. I mean, addressing customers' requirement by, executing the dashboard or the views, checking that the process is working as required, the return time, the execution, and all of that. We check all of these. Once we are satisfied with that, it goes through for publication, for publishing.
Okay. Have you ever created row-level security?
No, I haven't. It's done by a server administrator.
So suppose you are working on a huge data set, might be say 50 million records are there. Okay. So, and even to create the extract, it is taking a long time. How to get this kind of problem resolved?
Okay, I do experience that a lot. So usually what we do is in our extract creation, instead of taking the entire table, I use a query to extract particular top records. Once we get, if the record is up to 50 million, and we decide to work with a particular subset, like after discussing.
So that means you are basically creating a subset of the data source, which will help you to create the visualization out of it, which is absolutely fine. Yes. But now when you have to do the checks, you need that data source to be present on the server as well, right? So this journey from the desktop to the server, that is only taking a lot of time. How will you get that flow optimized?
I have no idea to that question. I'm hoping.
So there is a concept of empty extract. Are you aware of it, or zero extract?
No.
If not, I think you
Serious.
can explore that later. So the answer should be empty extract. I think you can explore that later. That's not a problem. So since I can
Empty.
check that the server side, you have not worked too much, so I'm not getting into the server side of it. Let me ask you a few
Could you please say that one
SQL-based
more time?
questions.
Empty.
Mhm.
Yes. Sorry, before we go into that, could you say that one more time? Empty extract?
Empty extract. Empty extract.
Okay, empty extract. Okay.
Yeah,
Empty extract.
you can explore that later. So if I have to ask you to rate yourself out of 5 in SQL, how much will you rate?
In SQL, I think I'm even above. I'm above intermediate.
Okay.
I've used that quite extensively.
That's great. So I'll start with a very basic question. Can you tell me what's the difference between delete and truncate?
Delete and truncate. When I run a delete command, it logs that the SQL logs that. There's a log to it. It can do a rollback to come back to it. But once you do a truncate is a permanent deletion action. So you're not able to roll back from that action. It just deletes completely.
Okay. So coming on to joins. Okay. So how many types of joins are there?
I know we have inner joint, left joint, right joint, full joint, full outer joint. That's a joint, left joint. Five different kinds of joints.
So left, right, inner, full outer. Which one is the fifth?
Left, right, inner joint, full outer. The fifth one is the one that
self join, right?
say that again.
Self join. Have you come across self join?
Yes, self join. Yeah, you're right. I was looking for that one. Self join. That's the one that just gives you says a subset of that particular table you are running from.
Right. Okay, since you have not joined in using your laptop, I would have given you some queries to write. So let's, okay.
Yeah, I think the laptop is up now, so
that's not a problem. I think we can do it later for our next round. Let me ask you a few more questions on SQL. Can you explain what is clustered and non-clustered index?
I haven't used anything about cluster, but I know I have indexed some of my tables to enhance search. But cluster, I haven't used cluster.
Okay, no problem. So to optimize a query, top 3 points that you would like to highlight.
To optimize my query.
What all should be the best practices as a SQL developer when it comes to the optimization?
Yeah, I make sure in my commands, I do not return feeds that are not needed for anything. I don't even return it. If once I know the feed is not required, I make sure it's not added to the command. Also, I avoid using joint. My matching field, I avoid using text feed to match my join. I rather use like an ID, customer ID, ID to ID, integer to integer. That gives me a faster execution time compared to using string to match my tables.
Okay. My final question will be, what is the limitation of stored procedure?
Stored procedure limitation in terms of, can I say the
Any
limitation?
drawback that exists in SQL when in terms of stored procedure? If you're not aware, it's fine. You can explore it.
Yes. I'm going to say, stored procedure doesn't, it doesn't update the database. You can update the database directly. It's a snapshot of the table, the record. It doesn't. What do I say is a limitation here? I don't know.
No problem. I think you can explore that. There are a few limitations. So suppose, as you mentioned, that you had been working in a team where there are a number of developers who are involved. So suppose you're working in a project, and since there are many people who are working in a project, so sometimes there might be conflict of opinions. So in case there is some conflict of opinion that you're facing with some of your fellow members in the team, how you are going to deal such kind of situation when it comes to the work environment?
Thank you for this question. This happens sometimes, and different approach we can use actually. I'm going to give you a typical example. Sometimes some of these things we call it conflict management. It comes up every time. But first, I make sure everybody's opinion is sampled. We have to hear everybody's opinion, even if it's contrary. So then, if I'm convinced that a particular opinion is more superior, since most time I'm the one leading the team, what I do usually, I make a presentation of the advantages and disadvantages of each point of view or each approach. Is usually about how we should do certain thing or why an idea is better than the other one. So, or I push it back to each of them that has those compelling arguments, compelling point of view. So I could ask you to say, okay, we can do another meeting. In our next round of meeting, you're going to do a presentation about your points. The other guy does a presentation about his point. If that settles if that is more convenient for them, sometimes this works. One becomes more compelling than the other, and we have a common ground. I take that up myself. I put all the ideas together, highlighting the pros and cons of each of their point of view and giving them reason why this is better. And usually, I'm able to infuse ideas from both sides to arrive at a common solution that will help us forge forward. And almost certainly every time, once you put the ideas together, infuse ideas from here and there, you always get the buy-in of the team. So I try as much as possible to consider every input and come up with a common ground that that takes care of everybody's opinion.
That's great. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years of time?
Well, I'm looking forward to being in an organization or being in a role that will allow me grow into top management position, helping the company or the establishment, achieve their business goals while I'm also growing in my career with the same establishment, just being in a fulfilling place to help the organization achieve their business goals while I also grow in my career, like getting up to top management position.
That's great. Do you have any questions before we end?
Yes, I do. You mentioned quite a few things that are new, not entirely new, but I like that the fact that you mentioned them. I wanted to ask you if you're able to touch on a few of
Yeah,
them.
absolutely. I'll give you a proper feedback session at the end. So it has not ended here. So we'll follow up with a feedback
So yes,
session.
I do. In terms of the question about this role, I want to confirm if what is it like? What would be your expectation of me if I'm successful with this interview section? Let's say I've been hired by you. What would you expect me to have achieved in my first 3 months of settling in?
Absolutely. So if you're selected in today's interview, my first expectation will be that you'll be working as a Tableau developer with a team of Tableau developers. So you need to understand the requirement of the client. Sometimes our clients come up with weird requirements as well. So you need to ensure that you present up with good and cool ideas to ensure that you are able to convince that if they are presenting some ideas, you need to ensure that if it is not achievable in Tableau, you need to convince them through your words. Okay, that will be my first expectation. And the second, since you will be working as a developer, the performance is a very important factor when it comes to dashboard designing. So you need to ensure that within 3 seconds, your reports should be up and running. So that will be my second expectation from you if you're selected in today's interview.
Thank you very much for that feedback, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for joining in once again, Frank. Have a wonderful day ahead. Bye.
Okay. Bye.